Hey, John, we are recording, so whenever you.
Exactly. Well, thanks everybody for coming today. And if you haven't eaten, Tom just walked in. Tom, go grab some food.
Great, thank you.
And so we're glad you're here. Amy, sorry you couldn't eat anything, but free anyways. But, thanks for coming. This is our last EDC for a while, traditional EDC meeting. This, as you guys, some of you may know, we're having joint EDC GRC meetings throughout the summer. It's something new. We're calling the summer series. We're going to center around water, wealth, contentment, health. And we're going to have a mix of state and local officials. We're going to have business people, educators. So we got quite a lineup. And so water will be in June, wealth will be in July, contentment, which we're focusing education.
Supervisor Graywald, Toby Wells.
No, that's well,
Oh,
yeah,
Education.
it is education, yeah.
Sorry.
And then health is obviously the hospital.
The hospital CEOs, and the education is President Ellis Rios from San State, Sanders from MJC, and Superintendent.
Yeah, wonderful. And the great thing is there's sponsorship opportunities. And so I think it went out yesterday. I think I saw it go out to the membership yesterday, or you could sponsor one or all of them. And so, or two or three or so anyways, we're looking forward. We're excited about that. So without further ado, we're going to first, there were minutes up there. So I will entertain a motion. This is for last April's meeting with Heidi Savage. Cecil is, it looked like an auction. Cecil's raising his finger. That means you're moving.
That wasn't the finger, that was.
Yeah. Okay. So Cecil's moving. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Right, Bill, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, thank you. So Todd, without further ado, if you are ready, if not, you can eat a little more.
That's up to you. Let's need to go around the room first, let you do you.
Thank you, Todd. That was sly, that was slick. I forgot to do that. So,
Do Trish.
I was like, that was quick.
I know, I kind of thought it was quick too, but I was hungry. I wanted to eat. So, and again, I want to.
I'll go around the room for you.
I think Todd, thank you, Todd, and Visit Modesto for sponsoring our lunch. And not only did he sponsor it, but he handpicked it and brought it over and did all the great stuff.
With cookies.
With cookies. Thank you.
From
So,
downtown, from
Yeah.
Picasso's,
yeah,
handmade everything.
yeah, great stuff. So, so let's go around the room and we'll start. Tom, over to you.
Hi, I'm Tom Mao, a retired private citizen, looking to network for business opportunities.
Trevin Barber, Economic Development Manager for the city of Modesto.
Ramon Mendez, I do marketing for CISPRO Innovations, a website designer, and I'm on the welcome team with the Modesto Chamber.
Carly Valenzuela, I own Hello Modesto.
My name is Patrick Shields. I'm the filler up and assistant to Supervisor Manny Graywald, San Francisco County Board Supervisor.
Thank you, Donald, with Mid Valley Promotions, the Modesto Chamber Board. Wilson, President and CEO of Modesto Chamber of Commerce.
John Valines, I'm the chair of the EDC and on the board, and I work for the Modesto customers.
Jim Collins, Basis Government Consulting, and I'm also the board.
Bill Robinson, independent financial advisor, and on the executive committee and board with the chamber here as vice chair for membership.
Naomi Rojas with Rojas Photography and ambassador to the chamber. Heidi Savage, CEO, definitely.
Cecil Russell, and for today, I'm here to support our wonderful Visit Modesto.
Todd Aronson, CEO of Visit Modesto.
All right, and then online, Amy.
Amy McPhail, Marketing Manager, Vintage Fair Mall, and employee of Mace Rich.
All right, Kate?
Hi, guys. I'm Kate Allen, the communications specialist for Visit Modesto.
Elise?
Hi, everyone. I'm Elise Christensen. I am the marketing director at Visit Modesto.
And last but not least, Anthony?
Hello, everyone. I'm Anthony Silva, Manager of Creative Services at Visit Modesto.
Hey, Anthony, I have something on my desk for you from Shy that I've been sitting on for weeks, so we gotta pass by one another at some point.
Yeah, let's link up. I know she's been trying to get that to me for months now, so thank you.
Here, he can take it with him.
You're half a block away. Take a walk.
I second the motion.
Thank you, Ramon.
All right, Todd. I think the floor is yours.
So Todd, I wanna know where you're gonna stand. If you, can you,
Where do you want me to stand?
if you're over and take the side, are you gonna be at the podium?
What's best for you?
I'm gonna move the camera to you when you decide where you want to be.
Oh my gosh. I'll go over here. So if anybody on this room raises your hand, I'm blind on the left, so you have to yell or throw something at me. If I stand over there, it would be different. Okay, so I'm gonna have Trish go ahead and share something. You know, it's real easy to talk about yourself in public, not. And I believe that the best way to learn about someone is to hear a testimonial from a third party. So about a year and a half ago, we had a travel writer come to Modesto and she wrote us a letter afterwards. We took that letter, I mean, our whole team passionately was moved. And Anthony and the rest of the marketing team put that letter to a video. So I'm going to share the video so you can hear what we do in someone else's words. And if you want to full screen it, that's up to you, Trish. I'll let you start that. You can close that window.
You got it.
All right, let me make sure that this answer is working. Yes, sir.
You guys did that yourself?
Yes, we did.
Great.
Okay, this is working. I don't know if I could say it much better than that, but what I can do is expound upon it a little bit. So, I'm going to pose a question right away. Tourism in Modesto? Really? Really? And I think it's important, and I ask everybody here to take this and share it with everybody you talk to. People come here on purpose. You are not allowed to ask them, really? You're here? Why? It's a decision. And there are a lot of decisions to be made out there. And travel, especially in the environment we're in right now, is so critical about how people choose travel and how they spend their money. Discretionary income is, there's a fear for keeping discretionary income. And people who come here are, they're short kids, skinny kids, kids who climb on rocks. They wear red ties, they wear blue ties, they have no legs, they may have no eyes. Like anybody can come here, and it's not political, it's not personal, but it's a financial decision for them. So when one of our employees, associates, friends meets a visitor and asks that question, you came here? Why? You're actually insulting yourself. And our community, I'm looking over here at Trevin and the county team, like, oh my gosh, that's taxes. And I'll get into the economic impact in a minute. But think about it, when people come here, they may be staying overnight. So that's a room. And there are people checking them in, there are people cleaning the room, there are people who have to do the laundry and service the building. They buy food, they buy gas, they buy services. They may be coming to see an accountant, they may be going to the courthouse. They may have a flat tire, they may need a lawyer. If they come with their family, they might be buying diapers or clothes or nail polish or agritourism, as we saw in here, or they're coming for the incredible entertainment. Tourism is a giant industry, and it's really important. So who are we? You met some of our team. Thanks, team. They're on the line right now. There are 6 of us in the building at any given point. So everything we do comes from the 6 of us, 2 of whom are part-timers that work in the visitor center. So it's not as if anybody lifts more than anybody else. We all lift equally and we all have a role. Our team just introduced themselves. So that's Elise, Anthony, Kate, Riley, Bob, and myself. I put myself last. I think I kind of work for them because they tell me what to do, when to do it, or at least someone will say, can I get your credit card or sign a check? We're around the corner. You're going to hear that we will be moving. We are going to join forces with the Stanislaus Arts Council. We're going to condense our space. We're going to move the visitor center over there. This will be better for visitors so that they will have more to do than just look at brochures when they come in. They'll be at the Arts Council. At some point, we will move to the Graffiti Museum or the Classic Car Museum when it is open and permitted. We're also a California Welcome Center. You heard that on there. There are only 22 in the state of California. We are one of those 22. Visit California supplies us with materials from all over the state and even Oregon and Washington. So if you want to travel in California and you're thinking of taking a little trip, come down and see Riley or Bob. They're in the visitor center and we have information we can set you up around the state. Visitors find us. Riley, what was the furthest away you've met someone from recently?
I think Belgium in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, in the last 2 weeks. And people from Italy and France and China and Japan and Korea and Saudi Arabia. We've met them all. Okay, so let's do some fast facts. And this is specifically with the county. So I have backup on this. I actually can give you the sheets that just came out. The reports just came out from Visit California and Dean Runyon Associates on county spending. About 65% of all hospitality tourism spending in the county happens in Modesto. So it represents over $650 million in annual spending in our community. Let me say that in a different way.
Is that the county?
Over $500 million is spent in our county on tourism related activities. About 65% of that in Modesto. Over 7,000 people are employed in our industry. Just to put the numbers in context, during the Almond Blossom Cruise recently, we tracked about 81,000 visitors. A visitor is defined as where your cell phone sleeps for more than 8 hours a night over 60 miles away. So if somebody's coming from Stockton, they don't count as a visitor because they're not more than 60 miles away or where their cell phone sleeps. But over 81,000 visitors moved through the county during the Almond Blossom Cruise. Roughly 70,000 of those were day trippers only, not overnight. The balance were overnight. For the Almond Blossom Cruise, we have a PR agency I'll talk about in a little bit. Did anybody see any of the media on Almond Blossom Cruise this year? Okay. This is just 2025, 281.225 million impressions through our media. That doesn't count social media, which is in the hundreds of millions as well. So this is a big deal for our community. For those of us that have lived here for a while, we know that February and March were not the busiest times of year. 6 years ago, Visit Modesto launched the Almond Blossom Cruise. And if you saw the CBS News, Saturday morning news out of New York, that wasn't CBS San Francisco, that went global. Our partners throughout the county have turned the slowest time of the year into the busiest time of the year. And when we created Visit Modesto, that was a very purposeful approach. We looked at every single month of the year, the occupancy from every single month, and said, where do we need the most help? And it's great to bring people in June. I'll get into that later on graffiti. But where we really need people are in the slowest months, because that means we get a lift. That's new business and it helps consistency for every industry. And if you think about quality of service, when you have consistent customer base, you have quality of service on a regular basis because your employees are around for a while and they're always working and honing their skills. So we turned February and March into just about the busiest months of the year. And 1 year was actually March was the busiest month. And we have already, this year we beat last year over those 2 months by double digits in occupancy percentage. We have a website and we're going to talk about tracking later. And we have a very deep and robust website. Just this year alone, bless you, we had over 471,000 key events happen on our website. That means that people took an action to do something else on the website. So it's not just the first visit, it's a key event that they wanted more information. 471,000 times. And we know who's looking at us. So of course, Modestans are looking at Modesto. Honestly, I pulled these numbers after Garage Fest. Modesto wasn't number one before Garage Fest in looking at our website. And to give you an example, in 2019, when we relaunched Visit Modesto, our top 10 cities were the 9 cities of Stanislaus County and Stockton, looking at Modesto online. Right now, the only one in the top 5 is Modesto. It's San Jose, Sacramento, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. We've changed how the world's looking at us. And we've done it, and we're going to talk about this in a lot of different ways. But first, let's talk about how we're funded. So I call it we eat what we grow, because we are here in the agricultural heartland. So we're funded only through occupancy. When someone stays at a hotel in Modesto, they pay an occupancy tax and they pay a tourism district fee. That tourism district fee is 1% in Modesto, and that comes to us minus a fee the city charges for collections. And then we get a very small percentage of occupancy tax. We get 13.33% currently of occupancy tax. That's it. So for every room generated, that's all we get. That comes to a budget of just about anywhere, depending upon the business that year, between $870,000 and $950,000. We do that with those 6 people and a lot of other stuff that's happening around the community and our partners. Let me see. I lost my spot here. Okay, so to give you an idea, for every room that stays in Modesto, they spend another $300 in the city based on Dean Runyon Associates tracking. Okay, what does that mean? That means that they're generating sales tax. So if you extrapolate just the hotel room and just the sales tax on the spending, it's about $37 a day in taxes from a visitor, an overnight visitor. Visit Modesto receives about $1.40 of that. So it's only 4% when you add it all together. We don't get anything from the sales tax. So I consider us to be a lean, mean fighting machine. We can receive grants like we had ARPA grants, but they're very rare. We have co-op dollars that we receive. We worked with Visit California and Central Valley Tourism Association, where multiple cities will work together. I'll explain that a little bit more in a few minutes. But we're really doing everything with our own dollars. We eat and sell what we grow. I'll get us there. We're fiscally sound. So what does that mean? You know, people, you hear that a lot. Is anybody an accountant in the room or accounting background? On Monday, we received our audit for fiscal year 2024. No errors, no omissions, no issues of concern. Last year at the same time, we did a 4-year audit and we had the same result. We don't have an administrative assistant. We don't have a treasurer who's in the books every day. We keep our own books, but we don't touch money. So literally we use QuickBooks, but we can't change one item in all of QuickBooks. Only our accountant can do it. So we make sure it's a hands-off process. And checks need 2 signatures. So we run this in a very fiscally sound fashion. About 50% of our programming or our expenses are in services, and about 50% are in marketing. Keep in mind, we do everything in-house. Anthony is the designer. He made the video. Elise is running both the in-house marketing, the distribution to the hotels, and she's also working with our ad agency and Anthony and all of the communications that we do globally. And then Kate is running social media, our events, and supporting both Anthony and Elise in the marketing on top of what we have happening in the visitor center. We have an ad agency. I'll get back to that. The ad agency is Madden. They have a PR firm. And then we also work with international offices of Visit California and do the international PR. So I just told the city, I don't think you were on the email. I was talking to the mayor about it. We have 5 travel writers coming from Japan next month who specifically requested Modesto. This is hilarious. They're going from San Francisco to Tahoe to Mammoth to Modesto to Visalia to LA. And I said, okay, this is really nice. I got an email from Visit California on this in the Japan office. And I said, that's really nice. I appreciate it. However, not as like the Mammoth side of Yosemite is closed. There was a landslide. And they said, we don't care. The travel writers actually want to come to Modesto. They heard about the agricultural programming in Modesto. They want to go see it. They want to come there. So they want to come here. I went to Japan last year, met with about 50 different organizations and media. They're interested in what's happening here. We market regionally and nationally in-house. Again, thank you, Elise. Public radio, digital, social media influencers. Kate works with a variety of social media influencers who go out and tell their tens, if not hundreds of thousands of followers what's going on here in Modesto. We have sales trips, trade shows, events online, presentations. I had Shabika Olive Oil doing olive oil tasting live in Tokyo. Online, when I was over in Tokyo, Craig woke up at 1 o'clock in the morning and did a presentation live with me. I had all the materials and olive oil there. It was ready when all the guests came into the room. And now we have Japan Travel Bureau in less than a year already booking tours in the county. So they're actually using 2 facilities. I'm looking at you on purpose, because you're the county rep, but they're going to Rodine Farms and Shabika Olive Oil, which are county properties. So those taxes go to our county and everybody gets helped out of it. So again, we're fiscally responsible and we make sure we take every dollar and spend it wisely and try to stretch it as far as we can. I think right now, has anybody read the articles, what's happening in tourism and the challenges from what's being called travel in the time of tariffs? I mean, I have my own news feed. I don't use social media, so it's real news with journalists behind it. It's pretty frightening what's happening around the United States. For the first time since the beginning of the pandemic, Carolyn Bateta, who is the CEO of Visit California, sent a message earlier this week forecasting this year to be down to last year. It's the first time in 5 years, and it took a pandemic to make it happen before. It's starting to happen around the United States. And I want to share some numbers. Canada is our #1 international visitor in California. Last year, they represented about 20 million visits. There's only 40 million people in Canada. Half of Canada, so obviously people came more than once, but that's a lot of visits. It's expected to be down upwards of 15%. And just to add pain to that, the numbers came out this week. March was down 70% for Canadian travel in California.
No, sorry, 70 or 17?
70. The cancellations are off the hook. I was speaking to a Modesto executive who's from Canada just this week, and her family was in Palm Springs. They rent a place there. They're from Canada. They come down from Canada every year. They rent a place for a whole month in Palm Springs. The individual was not able to visit them this year. They were busy. And she said, I told them, hey, I'll see you next year. We're going to go plan ahead. Do you have your dates yet? And they said, yeah, we're not coming next year. We're not coming to the United States. No matter what happened in Washington yesterday, and I'm not pointing fingers, this isn't a red or blue issue. This is reality that we're living in. San Francisco is one of the top international destinations in the United States. And when San Francisco hurts, all of Northern California hurts. So what happens in San Francisco, if you think of 10 visitors coming to San Francisco, about half of them will travel outside of the city, whether it's to Napa, Tahoe, Sacramento, Yosemite. And you think of all the stops along the way that they make. So when San Francisco goes down double digits, we all suffer across Northern California. The average tourist from Germany stays in the United States 19 days, from France 15 days, from England about 17 days. So when you take the impact of all these travelers slowing down or not coming, it has huge financial impact across multiple industries. Think of the restaurants. We know that 1 point of occupancy is about 17,000 restaurant visits per year. So if we go down a point of occupancy, what does that do to our restaurants? Not counting the other businesses. I know Amy's on the line. I'm not trying to make you cry, Amy, sorry. So country by country, the forecasted decrease is Canada, it'll be over 20 or over 15%. Mexico down over 24%. UK 22%, Germany 26%, France 10%, and Australia 16%. Those are all negative numbers. That's what's going to be happening. And this is going to be important, because how you communicate is how we succeed. There's still people coming here. It just means it's down. But then you add insult to injury. Have you been reading about national parks issues? What's going on with permitting for the national parks? And you have to get your permit in advance, only so many permits a day. If you don't do it on time, you can't get in. This is really devastating tourism across any area that has a restricted national park. And if you think of, I'm going to use a city like Oakhurst, right on the Madera entrance to Yosemite. In July, they'll average 98%. The visitors who book a hotel room in Oakhurst, which is a stone's throw from the park entrance, if they don't have a reservation in advance, can't get into the park. So they're canceling. Last summer, this went on, and their occupancy went from 98% to 78% a month. That's 20 points. It's frightening what can happen and how tourism impacts industries. We're not letting that stop us. We're still beating our competition here. So I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer. I just want to be honest about economic impact. That's what we're here for today. We measure everything. We don't just measure it by the bushel, by the ounce, or how it goes into your car. We want people to fill their trunk. Does anybody know that we track cell phones? Is that going to make you really uncomfortable?
I know the mall does.
We track the cell phones to the mall and everywhere else. So when we talk about tracking cell phones, what happens is we're actually seeing 5%, because that's all you're allowed to see by law, of all the cell phone activity that moves through your region. And that cell phone does not have a human. It doesn't have a home address to it. It has an IP number that only the whoever sold you the phone knows it. That's between them and the federal government. I'm not going there. But we track cell phones. So we know visitors from more than 60 miles away. I already explained. We track credit card spending. So we know which zip codes are spending the most per day here and the most per category here. So we can market to zip codes intelligently, because we don't have a huge budget. So if we do a social media ad, and Elise is working with our
I think Amy wants to say something, and she's texting. I'm trying to find where the.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, I was just saying we aren't the only ones tracking. That's all I'm saying.
So with credit card spending, when we know what's happening with the zip code, we can actually, Elise will work with our agency and have the social media ads, the meta ads, the Google ads go to a specific zip code and a radius. So we can spread a dollar a long way. Let me see where I was. Our agency tracks every single ad we send out. Our PR agency tracks every single publishing experience that we get. We have Google Analytics. That's how I know how many people saw our website. We have search engine optimization. We have a company, part of the agency is just working on our website to make sure the appropriate keywords that people search related to tourism in our region are in our website, and our website is communicating accurately. So it's worked so painfully well that we get calls. I got a call from Pennsylvania of a lady looking for a hardware store in Modesto because when she searched Modesto hardware stores, we came up first. And she just called the number on the website. Every day, 10 phone calls of like, okay, I don't know why you're calling me, but we'll look it up. Because our search engine optimization is so powerful. We do newsletters. We do newsletters with Visit California. Visit California has 250,000 people in their newsletter database. We buy an email from them 3 times a year. And we direct, there are 6 different sections of those newsletters. You should subscribe to it, by the way. It's a really good newsletter. And there are 6 different sections. Elise sets it up so that each section goes to a specific part of a specific web page. We have sign-up forms there. We have some of the highest, if not the highest, regular response rates, click-through rates, and open rates for Visit California, because Anthony is putting together the visuals with Elise that are stunning every time to make sure people open it. So we're getting open rates in the 56th percentile, click-through rates at almost 3%. We've had them over 3%. So we measure everything. And I have a quote here from Carl Eisenbach, and we're up to here. This is what I call the secret sauce. He says there is nothing more dangerous than yesterday's success. So I think it's important, we don't rest on our laurels. So yesterday is not our last stand. We have to look at the future. We have a startup mentality. And how can we leverage our relationships, our knowledge, our new learning? And I'm going to give you an incredible example. Thank you, Kate, who dragged us with Elise into the AI world. And we didn't go kicking and screaming. We went with smiles. So if you have an artificial intelligence platform that you're using in your business, you can actually start to feed all your content into ChatGPT or Gemini or. And what we've been doing, especially with Almond Blossom Cruise, we kept stuffing into ChatGPT everything that's happening, everything that was in our website, so that it's learning what goes on here. So I was at Shabika Olive Oil 2 weeks ago, and they said, "Are you guys doing something with ChatGPT?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I explained the platform we put together. And they said, "Well, a guy came in on Saturday who was on ChatGPT when he was in Yosemite. He was flying out of San Francisco, and he asked ChatGPT, what can I do between Yosemite and San Francisco that's fun and entertaining?" And it said, "Go to Shabika Olive Oil in Modesto." And the guy got in his car, drove right to Shabika Olive Oil, had beer, had a tasting, bought a bunch of stuff and sent it home. So we're looking at tomorrow as much as we're looking at the analytics of yesterday. We are going with Visit California on missions around the United States and around the world. I just came back from Europe with 35 other cities in California, where we presented to tour operators, travel agencies, and media people in Frankfurt, London, and in Paris. It was a whirlwind trip. Sounds really pretty. My wife said, "You can go alone because that's like 6 days and 3 cities and trade shows. Have a blast." I was exhausted when I came back, but I came back with 60 different leads. Visit California offers those at a discount. So not only did we pay a portion of our expense because Visit California picked up part of the fee, but I'm also chairperson of the Central Valley Tourism Association, which is 16 partners between Fairfield and Yolo County, all the way down to Bakersfield and as wide as Lodi to Yosemite. So it's the biggest region in California. As a chairperson, I went over and represented not just Modesto, but Central Valley as well. So I was able to leverage 75% of the expense was paid by the Central Valley Tourism Association and Visit California. So we're using our monies wisely and we're using our partnerships wisely. We're a member of Cal Travel. We get incredible vendor offerings and discounts through that. Elise and Kate next week are going to the UC Davis Agricultural Tourism Conference in San Diego so that we can help our partners build their agricultural tourism offerings as well as provide more offerings to the public. And we're also attending US Travel's IPW in Chicago. I go every year representing the Central Valley. And that is the largest travel and media trade show in the United States every year. Central Valley Tourism Association pays all the fees I just have to pay to get there. So we're using your money wisely and we're leveraging every dime we have. How do we sell Modesto? It's the true heart of California. And if you look at the map that Anthony designed here, it really sits just about perfectly in the middle. And we tell the world this. And if you think about it, everybody, all of our friends that don't live in this region, they have a Western United States bucket list. Zion, Grand Canyon, Las Vegas, Yosemite, Sequoia, San Francisco, Santa Barbara, LA, San Diego. Well, half those are in Northern California, and we're 90 miles from them. And when someone is traveling, these are their check marks. Got to do, got to do, got to do. Where do I go between the check marks that make my vacation OMG? And I use gosh, okay? I say, oh my gosh. That's where Modesto fits in. And we make sure that we're communicating that we don't need to be your be-all, end-all vacation. If you're traveling from San Diego to Seattle, you have to sleep somewhere near Sacramento on the way. We want you to sleep here. If you're going from Yosemite to San Francisco, make a stop here like that guy did through ChatGPT. If you need home base to do Yosemite, to do big trees, to do Sequoia, Kings Canyon, to go to a Giants game, we're 90 miles from everything. We're 90 miles from the Kings. We're 90 miles from the Warriors. We're 90 miles from Yosemite. It doesn't get better than that, especially when you look at people who travel internationally and they actually stay in the United States for up to 2.5 to 3 weeks. So we try to get our message out, digital, video, web, SEO, SEM, search engine marketing, where we use Google for advertising. We have our public relations, direct sales, Visit California. We take press trips. We bring in tour operators. We have our social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and all the partners that I was talking about. We're amongst this little teeny tiny team telling the world how to find us, how to get here, and what's really cool about it. And keep in mind, the world wants to know those little nooks and crannies. It's not an English muffin commercial. 60% of all the fruits and nuts in the United States are grown between Fresno, Salinas, and Modesto. 40% of all the produce in the United States comes from that same triangle. And when I go to Europe and tell people that, or I tell the Japanese, they're like, what can we see? They want to get into the canneries right now. They can't get into, they want to go to the dairies. I want to see a dairy, because of the biomes and hazards. We're trying to work with California to find grants in the future to work with our partners so people can see what happens in the manufacturing process. Because it's difficult. You don't want humans in the middle of that process now. Too many things can happen. We have the oldest, most awarded olive oil producer in the United States with Shabika. We have the world famous almond butter milkshake. We have the #1 Gouda cheese in the United States. The Gallo Center just received the top 10 venue in the US recognition. We have the longest covered bridge west of the Mississippi. And yeah, I know we're not New England, but we don't have one covered bridge. We have 2. There's another one over in Roberts Ferry. Okay, and stone fruit, really? We need to have that conversation? That's what you should say really about, like stone fruit off the hook. This is ground zero for stone fruit in our hemisphere, literally. And not one, not two, I sound like LeBron James, not three orchards that you can walk in and go experience what it's like to be in an orchard. And during blossom season, you can do that as well. So that's what the world wants. People want experiences. And especially right now where we're all concerned about how much money we spend and what can I get for my money and how can I do it affordably? We offer an affordable getaway that has experiences beyond belief. And like, who remembers their first visit to a farm? I'm from the East Coast. Like, I remember my very first visit to a farm. And when we start telling people, come to our farms, go to a farm stand, walk in the orchard. Can I bring the kids? Can I bring the dog? Yes, you can. And then you can go downtown and you can go to the Children's Museum and the Gallows Center, and you have 50 restaurants and. So there's a lot happening here.
I was gonna say, I remember we had friends of ours that, my friend who grew up here in the area, Manitoba, where I grew up. He's been living outside of Seattle for the last 20 years, working for the federal government. And him and his wife came down and visited, and they just wanted to go to fruit stands because they were like, fresh fruit. You know what you have here? And they were just like, what other fruit stands can we go to? Whatever, And
I think that's really important. And I'm not saying this to be a braggart. I'm saying it because we made a commitment to do it in my family. And when I was in France, I learned it even more. Buy local. My wife and I go to the farm stand at least twice a week to buy fresh. We use small local products as frequently as we can. And sometimes it's going to cost you an extra $1 for a pork chop, but that money stays right here. Go to the mall to buy your goods. Absolutely. They're not the supermarket. And I'm not knocking Save Mart. I'm not knocking Safeway. We all need that. You have to buy diapers somewhere. But if you can buy local fresh, we have a program, and I'll hand it out later. Actually, I'm going to hand it out right now. Take a page off of that. We say always fresh. 12 months a year, we have something fresh going on here. And these are maps we hand out in hotels. So the bounties of our region are off the hook. Okay, who's our competition? I'm going to go back here. I'm fine. Oh. Let me know when you get back on that. It disappeared. Let me see. The one thing I didn't point out is our secret sauce being our people. You heard that in there before, the things you can do, the places you can go, and our dog. And the things you can see around here, but it's people behind every moment, every experience making it happen. How do they find us? Our PR is off the hook. New York Times travel section last year in February had Modesto on the cover of the travel section. Travel and Leisure featured Modesto. National Geographic Traveler in the UK had Modesto. We just had another international article come out. Afar is one of the most read travel websites right now. And they have something in Modesto now almost every 3 months. The world is finding us. And it's how we treat them when we get here that makes them come back and spread the news again and again and again. Our competition is primarily Fresno, Sacramento, or excuse me, Fresno and Stockton here in the Central Valley. We beat them in occupancy. I just got the reports this morning again, week after week, month after month. And more importantly, we grow almost every month better or greater than they grow. Fresno's really killing us right now with youth sports. They do a fantastic job with youth sports. So I can see when their youth sports goes up. Last year was a rough year in Northern California travel. When the rest of the valley was shrinking, we were shrinking less. So our partners were down, like Stockton was down double digits for several months in a row. We were down 1 or 2 points. That's beating our competition all the time. But it takes people to make that happen. How can you help? Like us, love us, follow us, Share us. This is real important. And it's not a knock on the Modesto Bee. All online media does this, but the Bee needs you to click. They need it to happen. It works. It helps them sell their advertisers. It helps increase the value of any clickbait article online. So the Google algorithms are saying, oh, look at this. You looked up Modesto. Look at this article. They got clicked on 17,000 times. Don't take the bait. Be a good trout. Okay. I'm a fly fisherman. I'll say that. Share what we do. Kate is out there working with influencers all the time that have tens of thousands of followers, and we're getting tens of thousands of views and hits from around the world. If you use social media, have us in your feed. Check the stuff out and say, hey, that's cool once in a while. Share it, because if you have 100 friends, every time you hit a little heart, and I know most of you have a lot more than 100 friends, if you put a little heart on it, they all see it, and they don't all live here, but it helps them tell the story about what is here. So there it is. Visit Modesto.com. You can subscribe to our newsletter. You can use our website in your businesses and real estate. We love having partners like Vintage Fair, because they not only work with us, they help us spread the word. The side of the Vintage Fair Mall has murals that were created by our creative team. Anthony designed them. And then our Van Gogh Challenge winners, when we do a competition each year during the almond blossom season, their pictures go up at the mall. As an example, and this is a good and bad, not a bad thing about the mall. This is a good thing, but a great thing for Modesto. So the mall is the #1 place where we see cell phones from visitors every single month, month after month. And it's typically Mary Grogan Park and the hospitals. So those, and it kind of makes sense, right? Love having the mall be that busy and bringing that sales tax into our community. During Garage Fest 2 weeks ago, and again last year, twice as many visitors were in the neighborhoods than the mall. That's how big Garage Fest was, because we're marketing it. We're telling the world. So I don't want to bore you any more than I've just bored you. Did I do okay on time?
Yeah, you're fine.
I'm going to hand out some stuff. We have stickers created by Anthony. Go ahead, take some stickers and put them out on both sides. I'm open for questions, thoughts, concerns.
Anyone online, feel free to unmute.
Thank you to an incredible team. They're out there listening. Or in here listening. Rally's one of our visitor services agents. So
So Todd, I have a couple of questions if you're ready.
shoot.
Why are you having difficulty with the city? I mean, from the funding aspect.
It's a great question.
Let me, why are you having difficulty and how can we help?
I think it's more how you can help. What I have learned recently, I share and here's a term I'm going to throw out, and it ties into what you're talking about. Visitor organizations are now called Destination Management and Marketing Organizations, DMOs. I chair for Cal Travel, the DMO Roundtable in California. I just finished, I got a survey yesterday from the CEO that we created. Outside funding, relationships with government is the next greatest concern amongst my peers. We've talked about this now over 3 different quarters, and what we're finding is there are a couple of things happening. As funding for communities, tax dollars are getting tighter and tighter, and costs for communities are getting greater, the revenue from a tourism fee or the occupancy tax goes to general fund. So when it goes to general fund, the last thing a city manager, and this is how they've been trained, I'm not pointing the finger at Joe, it's a standard, is I keep my money in my general fund as close as I can. It's not designated money. So there's the Domo is a business district in accordance with California law. The funds that get paid to Domo, the downtown organization, stay with Domo. The funds that come from the tourism district come to us. We are unique in California that we have a relationship with the city. Our peers, as an example, in Stockton, they have a 4% tourism fee plus an occupancy tax. Their budget is more than double ours. We have a 1% tourism fee. So we need that occupancy tax. If we wanted to raise that fee, there would be more money coming in. Fresno has a 3 going to 3.5%. They have a $3 million budget. They don't have a million. So the way the city looks at our funding, it's a piece of general fund that we don't want to give away. The other thing that I'm learning from my peers, to get right to the heart of your question, is that economic development departments have had significant change over the last 10 years across the United States. And a lot of people in economic development are coming from different divisions of the city, a lot of them related to construction, housing, and growing. So the relationship between the tourism ecosystem and government revenue is not clearly understood nor supported, and it's fairly common. So what can you do? Was I delicate about that? I'm not going to put you on the spot. What can you do is, and this is an important week because our contract is being voted on next week, call every single council person you can. Send them an email and say, please support Visit Modesto. They're doing good things in our community, if you believe that. But that's how you can really help.
10 or so many years ago, we lobbied heavily to raise the occupancy tax. Okay? Knowing that, a portion of that, goes to Visit Modesto or, and that. And the studies that we did, how it goes back to even when Carmen was mayor, that we were the lowest DOT tax in the Central Valley.
We still are.
And only one reason. Us, I was, when I say
Our city.
us, I mean the chamber. The lobby to have that change. Chamber's never really been enthusiastic about raising taxes. But that's a different kind of a tax, okay?
Yeah.
Anyway,
So the question for everybody is, who pays occupancy tax?
visitors.
Right.
And that's.
We don't pay it. It's not our money.
And that's
Something
my
elsewhere.
point. You're making my point. So that would help give you more funding. I don't understand why, forget Joe for a minute, and I know you can't forget Joe, but.
I mean, he's got a job to do too.
He's got a job, but I mean, damn it, he works for the city. He works for the council. And the council people should understand, because most of them are more business oriented, that economic development and tourism are joined, okay? And so should we not be lobbying those folks to increase your funding and or increase your support?
So on Monday, the Economic Development Committee voted 2-1 in favor of increasing funding for Visit Modesto. We need 2 more votes at City Council next week. Now, that was uncomfortable for staff, and I don't blame them. It's not easy to look at what's coming into the general fund that goes out. The council is incredibly supportive. The city staff we work with, for the most part, is supportive, but everybody's trying to manage a budget.
Has the council people seen this presentation?
Some of them have.
I'll tell you, it's impressive. And if I were a council person and I saw this, hands down, would I also lobby to increase the TOT tax?
So there's 2 things there. Number one, I only get 3 minutes when I get to speak to council. And the video is, I think, 3 minutes and 4 seconds.
Take more.
I did on Monday, and it created great consternation. Increasing occupancy tax, and here's an example. Manteca has 12% occupancy tax. No tourism bureau. 100% of it goes to the general fund. Modesto has a 9%. It failed last time because we didn't have an organized hospitality community. In the last 6 years, we've really developed a new organization, new sense of awareness of the role of tourism in our community and the economic impact. I don't feel it would be difficult for the city to do that again if they so choose. The upside is if the city were to do that, there are a couple things that should happen that make it better for the city. Number one, short-term rentals in Modesto are not included in our occupancy tax. That's about $500,000 of lost revenue a year. But the ordinance has to be changed. It's a tax that has to get voted on. And I'm not pointing at you, just, a tax has to get voted on. There's no option. Other cities around the country have increased occupancy tax, but they've used designated programs. So an example would be raise the occupancy tax, let 1 point go towards low-income housing programs. 1 point can go to these programs. Maybe we don't need more money if the city votes for us to have a greater percentage. So maybe we continue to get whatever this new percentage of 9% is. But the city could raise occupancy tax because I think we have a better community to support it now.
Well, the key is to convince, once you get something on the ballot, is to convince the voters that it's in their best interest to do this. And the way you do that is you convince them that the money is going to be invested, not spent, invested wisely. Your video demonstrates that in spades, okay? I had a meeting with a couple of supervisors.
I'll send out the link for the video today. You can send it to anybody you want.
Thank you.
But I'm going to segue to the county from that. So I had a meeting with that, and I was talking about tourism. When Keith Boggs was affiliated with the county, he understood tourism. Murphy and I served on his tourism council, and he talked that all the time. You don't hear that from the county these days. So my question is, I know we're Visit Modesto, okay? However, who in the county does anything similar to this? And I think my answer is no one.
Well, there is Visit Oakdale who has now approached our team to help do work for them. And which they pay
I
for.
honestly think you guys should be one organization.
That is a great long-term goal. I've had conversations with county supervisors about it. Our tourism district, we've talked about it, and yes, it's a goal. I can only say so much.
Who else in the county is doing, and I'm gonna put this on you, is doing what you're doing?
Well, you look at the back of that and we promote from Patterson to Waterfront.
And
And I experience.
that's what the supervisors want to know. Okay. Anyway.
And I can tell you, honestly, the more I watch Turlock and Salida's hotel occupancy, and it gives me great pain. This morning I was kicked off when I got the weekly report, because the more work our team does, the better they do. I can see it every week. It's hysterical. Like, oh, we did the Modesto went up and they went up. Just now keep in mind that almost everybody who buys a hotel room is doing it through an app or a loyalty app. And if you type in Modesto, think of it when we all travel. And if it says only 6 miles away, only 7 miles away, you're not thinking in your head, like, that's gonna be 25 minutes. So it's easy to lose business, and they have a lot of hotels on the freeway. So, there's a lot of battles to be fought in marketing to do. I'm agreeing with you 100% and trying not to put anybody on the spot. But yes, that would be tremendous. And if next week, the current contract that was recommended on Monday passes through city council, I support the city not giving us more money in raising occupancy tax, but raise occupancy tax and use the extra money for other services in the community.
So I'm employing the leadership here to get on board.
And like I said, any notes you want to send, I don't want to put anybody on the spot here. Our city has been as supportive as they can be under the circumstances. There's a lot of lack of understanding of the relationship between economic impact of tourism and our greater community. Partially, Cecil, to your point, is because we haven't had an organization like this until recent years with this type of approach. But thank you. I can hug you in a minute. Watch it. Any other thoughts, questions? Amy, anything out there?
Question for you, Todd.
I'll say I cannot say better things about your team. Kate and Elise have been amazing partners to Vintage Fair, and we just love working with you guys so very much.
Feelings mutual. Thanks.
So thank you for sharing the impact and the information and the data is really undeniable. It's great. And that gives us a glimpse into recent past and present. This year so far, over last year, those kinds of things, which is great to hear. And I appreciate the updates. The question is more of a forward-looking vision. So we've got on Boston Cruise, we've got Garage Fest, we've got great initiatives going on. What do you see coming? What do you want to have that we don't yet have?
So it's one of the reasons that Elise and Kate are going to this ag tourism conference. We've made a concerted effort to lean heavily into experiential programming, which is agricultural tourism in our community. It's here. We have the culture of agriculture, and I think this is important for everybody. We call it the culture of agriculture because there would be no arts and entertainment programming here if farmers didn't support it 100 years ago. So the culture we have in Modesto is the direct result of our agricultural foundation. So to your point, we're leaning as far forward into the headwinds as we can on ag tourism because we're creating experiential tourism, affordable things to do with your family, with your loved one, with a buddy, flying solo, that takes you away from the stress of red ties and blue ties and tariffs and taxes, that takes you away from the worry. We're really pushing hard into road tripping so that this drive market, as I showed earlier, now that we have people in LA calling, we have people in San Diego calling. That's huge. That wasn't happening before. So it's really expanding this. Let me get out of town. Let me go somewhere I can afford that's kind of pretty. And I can spend a day in Yosemite and still come back. And then I can go to the farm stand. I can fill my trunk on the way home. Amy, a little bit from the mall and a little bit from the farm stands. And any of your businesses. And that's like what I'm learning as I go around the world is experiences like we have to offer, from covered bridges to hikes to river rafting to farm experiences and olive oil and Mochimu, or walking through the murals in downtown, or going to the Gallo Center for the Arts or the Prospect or the State Theater or the Palladium for that fact. That's what people want in an affordable, comfortable, safe city. And our city is safe. 2 years ago, I was at a conference in downtown. I use this compliment. I think I've told you this many times, or you've been in meetings where I've said this. I was at a conference in downtown sitting next to the city manager from San Jose. And he said, he leans over and he asks, and he goes, "How is your downtown so clean?" He said, "I was literally looking for cigarette butts and I couldn't find them." And I cracked up. I'm like, "You're San Jose. We have downtown streets team. It was founded in your city." He said, "Yeah, but ours isn't this good." It's that experience that people have that makes Modesto so powerful and wonderful. And the other thing you can all do is every time somebody says something about homeless, I was in Paris a couple of weeks ago. Let me tell you, there are more people, refugees or others, camping on the Seine by 500% than you will find anywhere in Modesto. I was appalled and I was there right after the Olympics in October, and then I went for this trade mission, and you could tell that the hard work of the police had changed, and they were all. I don't know where they came from. This is my third trip to Paris in my life. I was in shock. So we do not have a homeless problem here, and that's not a negative.
It's because of your question that you don't have.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. It's like we have services. it may not be enough all the time and it may not be perfect, but our experience here is so much better than other places you go. Phoenix, Arizona has the largest homeless encampment in the United States. The media is our enemy in California. And that's both the left and the right media. Nobody says anything good. They're all taking pot shots. And like when I say that about Phoenix, go look it up. Like I was in Austin for a wedding recently. Let me tell you, they got problems. It's Texas. They got problems. So it's really communicating, and what we're doing is leaning into this experience sales affordability.
I was just gonna say, it's ironic you said that because our national conference is the end of this month in Phoenix. And, you know, years goes in San Antonio. And, you know, we had a director of our men's programs moved to Knoxville, Tennessee, and he worked for the rescue mission there. Knoxville is much smaller than Modesto, about probably a third of the size of Modesto. Their budget and their services there were 3 times, 4 times what the has here. So they have way more.
And they do a great job. I was in Knoxville 2 years ago, and I was
really announced that it's a great.
And Heidi, they have a great downtown program going. Their organization, their signage, their communication, their kiosks, like getting around downtown and all the signage and wayfinding was off the hook.
You know, talk back to people, we've had, you know, we're only open Fridays and Saturdays, and last year we closed a good portion of the year. We're closed right now because of construction and that. Normally we're open half a day Friday, half a day Saturday. We've had over 20 countries visit our museum. Europe, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and Japan, you know, blah, blah, blah. We've had over 28 states. And the question that we ask when people come in, you know, where are you from? Have you been here before? And that's, and then we track that. And so the question is, what brought you to this area? Well, online. And some of it is our online, some of it is your online.
And some of it is all of yours, like it's a combination.
But it's amazing that, you know, because we're not even 20% of where we want to be and that, but we're attracting people. And so the potential, the upside is even greater. Okay. And obviously the more you do, the more successful we'll be, the more successful we are, you know, we'll all be successful.
So on that note, I have a funny story. Last year, 2024, we launched bus tours for Almond Blossom Cruise. Okay. How many of you have lived here most of your life, if not all of your life? Oh, not that many. Or at least 20 years. Okay. Bus tours. Last year we sold out 3 out of 4. And the one that we didn't sell out had more than 50% full. The first booking we got for our bus tour was from a lady in Virginia who saw it in the New York Times.
Wow.
This year, we only did 2 because we didn't want the shoulder weeks to be disappointments for people. Sold out like that. We had 1 plein air experience last year, painting in the orchard. You saw a picture of it here. We did 2 this year, sold out, 20 people each. That's Modesto. People are coming to check us out. We're selling bus tours of Modesto.
That's not being marketed to outside of Modesto, that's for Google?
No, we're marketing it outside Modesto, not for locals. Locals find out about it or see it. I would say Kate and Elise may know better, but I think 80% of people are not Modestans, if not more. Bay Area, I had the bus I was in this year, almost half the group was from Sanford and lived around Sanford. And they loved it. They can't wait to come back.
So are we to announcements?
That's my story and I'm sticking to it.
Yay, good job.
Thanks, Dean.
Yeah, sure. I have a couple of announcements that go into this. The graffiti weekend is going to be 7th, 8th. The cruise will be the 6th. and that, so, the Legends of the Cruise will be fourth downtown here, all these guys. And then it starts all the parts down all around the city, and that. And Mackenzie Phillips has just announced that she's going to be here.
She's okay. That's nice.
Yeah. Cool. Anyone who wants to contribute to that, be helpful. She doesn't come for free, but she has been, in my opinion, the most outgoing individual from the movie.
She's the funnest.
She was here a couple of years ago and very friendly, very involved and that. So it's good to have her back. No, anyway.
I do have one announcement. So just to tie into the question earlier, YouTube, visit Modesto, and the first video, so you have to click on the second tab, videos, is that video. But there are a lot of other videos in there too. And I have my card if you use it, the ones that you know for that.
Anybody else?
Chamber makes their own May 15th right next door at US Bank at 5:30. We think.
Multi-chamber next year coming, Riverbank and one tomorrow at the storage unit.
Okay. I mean,
I'm blanking on the official name.
8 a.m.
Security probably. Thank you.
I can't read.
Tomorrow, the Resurrection Brand stays on.
Tomorrow is the Resurrection Brand launch at 3 and the grand opening of their convenience store. Gabriel. Tomorrow.
They did it all. And the Resurrection Brand, you said it's at 3, is that the actual ribbon cut? 3?
Yeah, they're doing a whole like open house, they're doing a whole thing up until like 6 o'clock. But we're doing the ceremony at 3.
Is that
So
one
that
from
we
Gino Chamber? So I got one from them, the same event, but theirs was a little bit like 3:30 or something. Yeah.
they're doing it.
Yeah.
They're also jointly doing the center. They're developing.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're just expecting to be in 2 places.
Ribbon cutting at the. Well, I separated them by the hour. I don't know how you can
Oh,
all.
no, I think the invite I got was both were stripped, but they're out there, it was like 15 minutes later.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah.
That makes sense. We're doing a launch. What is that? We're gonna be.
I have some,
So, yeah, but.
before we,
We're not done.
before we leave, I just wanted to wish everyone happy Mother's Day. You know, next time we see each other. Yeah, something
Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, so the city, our economic development team continues to outreach to businesses. We're going to be attending ICSC in a couple of weeks, which is the National Retail Convention. So we'll be meeting with over 30 different developers or retailers to discuss mostly Tivoli, Kieran Business Park, downtown, and various different sites around the city. There's a couple of different developments that are in the process of submitting LOIs and purchasing property. So that means maybe in 5 years we'll have a development, but a lot of this stuff takes time. And if we don't put in, the time now, it'll never happen. So the best time to plant a tree was yesterday. So we're still doing that. Our team also finished calculating and looking at our metrics from calendar year 2024. And our team is responsible for a lot of different programs throughout the city, but half of our time is spent on business attraction, retention, and expansion. And of those activities, we were able to attract 17 million in capital investment, create 350,000 in ongoing revenue to the city, and create 135 jobs. All of this has approximately a $50 million economic impact on the city. So that was from last year alone. And we'll be working on developing that report in more detail for the community. And then we'll be presenting it to the government, GRC in October and November. So we'll have all that data available. We'll also have Q1 and possibly Q2 of this year impact report complete by then.
Good.
I
think you're speaking of November here, too.
Yeah, in November.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
Oh, November,
Yeah. Yeah, and then hopefully by then we'll have a lot more of our leads closed by then. And we also started a new retail attraction campaign, so you'll see it on social media. We don't have an advertising budget, so we can create content, but we don't have anywhere, we can't go put it in a magazine. We don't have $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 to do that. The only way we can really outreach to people is meeting with them or getting their attention on social media. So anytime you guys get a chance to like or subscribe anything on Choose Modesto's LinkedIn profile, that's the best way to support us. And so you'll see over the next 10 weeks, a bunch of different, retail posts. So.
You have a chamber partner.
Yeah.
Send us stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's free for their magazine.
Yes, yeah, we love contributing to your magazine.
Yeah, good. GRC this month, May 16th, Carlos Bergen, Modesto B senior editor. We were saying, what? Modesto B still has editors, but they're still around. But he's going to come in and present here. It's been a couple of years. Cecil remembers, it's been 2 or 3 editors ago since we've had one come and present. So that should be interesting. Good conversation.
Long.
It was long. Yeah.
Tell them I missed that paper.
You can tell them if you want.
Yeah, I'll be on vacation. You just missed it.
Okay.
I won't be reading it, just not a single.
Yeah, no, that was the discussion I think we had yesterday. That committee, so. And the summer series, here's the flyer. And again.
Did launch to members last night. Open to anybody, and there's 2 ways to look at it, 5 different directions or pieces of it. So as a series, that's what we're promoting right now. If you want to be a sponsor at any level, we have various levels to bundle this series. You have some access to speakers and VIP sessions for doing that and some additional branding. We have solidified and have confirmation from every presenter on the list, every location, and food is all worked out. So you're going to have a nice meal at the last 3. You're going to have a fun, unique snacking experience at the State Theater one, combination of things from Howard Prep and the State Theater itself. If you are focused just on being a sponsor or purchasing tickets for just for the water session, which is the first one, that is also now open. By the end of the week, we will have all these events open. And I will call out the summer series as a collection, only goes through September. But when you're looking at this document, we are bringing back the bow tie economist who lives in Florida. We had him last year for the first time. We're going to have him back again at Del Rio as a breakfast event. It is outside the series, but it's a bonus and we've got it confirmed. So you can let us know.
You didn't see him last year. Cal Travel has an economist every year, and I've seen 4 years in a row. This guy's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I recommended him to Cal Travel.
Yeah,
He's that good.
so fun.
Yeah. And intelligent, like, he's not a dummy, but he's also funny.
Yeah.
And what was interesting is he predicted not who would win the election, but he gave us several scenarios of what would happen if it was a quick decision election versus a long protracted. And he was right. So he had some credibility there. So, and I would just point out that each one of those, all 5 of those events involve food, and all 5 of those events are at different locations, they're bigger locations. So they're made for some good turnout. And, the fact that we got 3 hospital CEOs in the same room is pretty excited about that.
And these 3 educators together.
Yeah. And that we got Manny Greenwald. He left. So I'm sucking up and with Patrick over that.
He's running for reelection, that's why he's coming.
Yeah. So anyway.
Just in case you're wondering.
All right, so we will see you guys for EDC. That'll be, now I will say, that, and you'll know this, but the caveat is in September, we had already booked Volt. And so the new executive director of Volt Institute will be here the first Wednesday in September. But other than that, we won't have EDC meetings for the other 3 months. So.
Cool.
Great.
Thank you all
Thanks,
very
guys.
much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right,
I'm back to
thank you.
meetings with California.